Here, onwards to the right, it's just double vision constantly. And it's a little bit grey as well. So I've got like a grey eyesight from there onwards and double vision. This eye's still a little bit blurry. The other part of this eye is blurry. But the main thing that's bothering me at the minute is double vision.
The latest update on Tom Aspinall's injury has blown the doors wide open and sparked a wave of heated debate across the MMA world. Analysts, fans, and former fighters are all locked in, breaking down every inch of his report. And here's the headline everyone is circling back to. Even though Tom says he feels a lot better physically after that brutal eye poke, he's still dealing with legit double vision. And look, this isn't some tiny setback. For a heavyweight who relies heavily on timing, depth perception, and reaction speed, seeing two targets is practically a nightmare. Trying to figure out exactly what was going on, Tom went straight to an optometrist. The specialist walked him through the mechanics behind his double vision, explaining that this kind of problem happens often after a severe eye poke because of the damage done to the eye's small but crucial muscles. In other words, this isn't just irritation, this is a real functional impairment. While making sure Tom understood the seriousness of the situation, the doctor laid everything out, no sugarcoating. The message was simple: do not even think about fighting until the double vision.
If he stay here, I need to see him again on Monday. If he doesn't stay here, then he must see somebody after 2 days. Okay?
It's good that he stopped the fight.
Yeah. You should stop the fight until you are good again and until you're cleared. Okay. But we didn't find anything dangerous.
And honestly, that advice makes perfect sense. There's no amount of heart, toughness, or fighter spirit that can compensate for compromised eyesight. Still, the specialist tried to offer Tom a bit of optimism so the entire update wouldn't crush him emotionally. The moment this update went public, Chael Sonnen jumped in fast, trying to smooth over the harsh comments he and Anthony Smith made right after the injury. Chael insisted none of his previous remarks were personal. He even said he genuinely respects Tom and his father since he knows them off camera. But then you look at Cyril Gane's reaction, and the vibe is totally different. Gane basically suggested that if Tom felt hurt by his criticism, maybe he'd apologize. A response that felt way less sincere and way more conditional. And Tom wasn't poked once, he took multiple strikes to the eye area. Jumping in to defend him, Michael Bisping highlighted exactly how rough this stretch has been. He emphasized that Tom spent months preparing for this matchup and had everything derailed over a single unfortunate eye poke. From Bisping's perspective, anyone in Tom's shoes would be emotional, irritated, and saying things out of frustration. And honestly, he's right. Fighters pour everything into these camps: time, money, pain, discipline.
Now, all the MMA critics and every expert and every person that's never fought a goddamn day in their life. I've seen streamers online. Some guy was calling him all kinds of names and this and that. The man looked like he couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag, and he's talking about Tom Aspinall, okay? The heavyweight champion of the world, who is the best finisher in the UFC right now.
And seeing all of that vanish in seconds would break anybody. As the conversation grew, one commentator went off on fans who were trolling Tom. He blasted people who were mocking him online, calling them flat-out haters who were trying to make an already brutal moment even harder. He even said he'd been through a similar phase and truly understood where Tom's emotions were coming from, encouraging him to ignore the worthless noise. As the situation kept unfolding, Michael Bisping stepped back in with some veteran perspective, stressing that Tom should not rush anything right now. With an injury involving eyesight, arguably a fighter's most essential tool, the worst thing Tom could do is force a premature comeback. According to Bisping, this phase of recovery is incredibly delicate, and the only way forward is by listening to his doctors and following every bit of their guidance. He added that Tom's best years are still ahead of him, but patience is the key to getting there. Meanwhile, in Tom's follow-up video discussing the aftermath of the eye poke, an analyst known as the anime guru chimed in with his own take. Initially, he backed Tom, saying that now that Tom himself has gone public with the reality of his eye injury, everyone who was clowning him should be apologizing. He even called out casual MMA fans who think Tom's medical reports are fake, pointing out that this is literally the heavyweight championship division, not some backyard brawl. In his words, if you're going to talk about elite-level athletes, at least understand the stakes. But then things took a weird turn. Instead of breaking down the medical findings seriously, the guru went full sarcasm mode. He exaggerated Tom's diagnosis, announcing dramatically that Tom had been diagnosed with bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome, then pretended to question whether this somehow meant cognitive diseases were involved. It was clear he was trying to make the diagnosis sound confusing, exaggerated, and borderline unbelievable. For many viewers, it felt like he was walking a strange line, pretending to support Tom on one side, while subtly mocking the severity of his condition on the other. The conversation shifted again when the topic of potential eye surgery came up. The guru claimed he genuinely hoped it wouldn't reach that point, because if Tom ever needed a major operation on his eye, his comeback chances would drop dramatically. And then almost in the same breath, he cracked another joke, calling Tom's condition a bispinkers, a reference to Michael Bisping's infamous career-altering eye poke. He even tossed out the jab that all the UK guys seemed destined to get poked in the eye. So while he appeared worried about Tom's future, he was also actively taking shots at him. On the other hand, analyst Wade Plemons delivered a far more grounded breakdown. He stated bluntly that if Tom's medical findings are accurate, this is a genuinely dangerous point in his career. Wade argued that Tom shouldn't even think about returning to competition anytime soon, especially since the reports indicate injuries to both eyes, not just one. For a fighter, clear vision is everything. You can't dodge, block, or counter if you can't fully track what's coming at you. When trolls online started comparing Tom's situation to Bisping's, Wade shut that down immediately. He pointed out that Bisping's injury wasn't nearly this severe, which is why Bisping managed to continue fighting with one compromised eye. Tom's case is completely different. Both of his eyes are affected, making this a far more serious threat to his safety and career. Wade insisted Tom shouldn't waste energy responding to trolls and instead needs to focus entirely on rest, healing, and staying away from combat sports until things stabilize. After breaking down Tom's video in detail, Wade Plemons added another layer to the conversation, one that honestly made fans even more uneasy. He said it's downright miserable that Tom is in a position where he has to explain his injury to fans and even to Dana White, who some believe might think Tom should just push forward and fight with one good eye. Wade suggested there's a real possibility the UFC could respond harshly to Tom moving forward, especially since a couple of people in Tom's circle have made some sharp comments about the promotion. All of that tension could create the kind of career roadblock that no fighter wants to deal with, especially not in the heavyweight title picture. Then came analyst Emma Joey, who took a very different and honestly much more brutal angle. Joey openly mocked Tom for wearing sunglasses in his videos. According to him, Tom's blunt comments about Dana White could send his career spiraling in the wrong direction. Joey argued that speaking out like that can easily cost a fighter their next title opportunity. And the UFC has a long history of making examples out of athletes who publicly challenge them. When Joey dove into the medical breakdown, the skepticism only grew stronger. He flat out said the doctor's statement sounded weird, and he doubted that Tom was actually left with only low vision. His tone made it pretty clear. Joey didn't believe much of anything Tom or his doctors were saying. He even mocked the people who were supporting Tom, implying they were overreacting or falling for some exaggerated. Then Joey took the criticism even further, going after Tom's entire team. He argued that the people around Tom, his training partners, his cornermen, the folks in his inner circle, aren't doing enough to help him navigate this moment. Joey believes that at the heavyweight championship level, your crew needs to be on top of everything, managing your public image, keeping your confidence steady, and making sure you don't look rattled in front of the world. In his view, Tom's team has let him appear vulnerable when they should be elevating him. He wrapped up his take by saying Tom needs to rethink his whole strategy, professionally and personally. According to Joey, Tom should be focusing less on firing back at critics and more on staying calm, patient, and calculated if he truly want a long and successful run in the UFC. Because right now, the combination of a serious injury, public frustration, and friction with the promotion could push him into a very dangerous career position if he doesn't handle things carefully. And as all these analysts kept dropping their opinions, the MMA community started getting split right down the middle. Some were convinced Tom was exaggerating. Others believed every word he said. And the tension just kept building. As more voices jumped into the conversation, the entire MMA world found itself split over what to believe and what comes next for Tom Aspinall. Ever since his first injury video surfaced, analysts haven't stopped dissecting every frame, every word, every medical detail he shared. And with each new opinion hitting the internet, things only got messier. A huge part of the community still thinks Tom is exaggerating the severity of his situation. These are mostly the same fans who lean towards Cyril Gane or John Jones, and they've been quick to paint Tom as overly dramatic or even dishonest. But what these critics keep ignoring is the medical confirmation of Brown syndrome, a condition that is not something you walk off in a week. It's a genuine anatomical problem involving the eye's ability to move correctly, and for a professional fighter, especially one in the heavyweight division, that's about as serious as it gets. But on the other side of the debate, there are analysts and a lot of fighters who understand exactly why Tom is feeling the way he is. They point to the pressure he's under, the expectations, the sacrifices, and how months of preparation evaporated the moment he got poked in the eye. They've justified his frustration, his tone, even the emotional swing he showed in his videos. They're not just sympathizing with Tom, they're defending him. Still, no matter which side people fall on, everybody agrees on one thing. This situation isn't simple. Not even close. With Brown syndrome confirmed and damage reported in both eyes, Tom isn't just fighting to recover. He's fighting for his career. And that's why so many people are on edge right now. The heavyweight division moves fast. The UFC moves even faster. And injuries, especially the kind that affect your vision, can completely change the trajectory of a fighter's life. At this point, the biggest question hanging over everyone is simple but brutal. Does Tom Aspinall get another shot after he heals? Or is this where the story ends? Some believe the UFC will stand by him, give him the time he needs, and set him up for a massive comeback once his vision stabilizes. Others fear the exact opposite, that the tension between Tom's camp and the UFC, paired with the unpredictability of injuries, could push him toward a dead end. What makes this even more gripping is that Tom isn't just another name on the roster. He's a heavyweight with championship credentials, a guy who was on the verge of entering the prime of his career before everything came crashing down because of a single poke. Right now, the entire MMA world is watching closely. Analysts, fighters, casual fans, everyone is waiting for the next update, the next medical report, the next word from Tom himself. Whether you love him, doubt him, or sit somewhere in between, one truth is crystal clear. Tom Aspinall's future in the UFC hangs in the balance, and the next chapter of his career hasn't been written yet.